Hi, Sanford. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Same here.
That was a timid thumbs up. Okay.
All right. Shabbat Shalom. Maya Hayom. Shabbat Shalom. Maya Hayom. Shabbat Shalom. Hayom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom. We are welcoming you into our sanctuary, whether you are here in the sanctuary. Glad you're here as we welcome this 25 hours of time out from the real world. Sometimes we do need to take a breath. Sometimes we have one of those weeks, and having this day off can really be a rejuvenation. So we're glad you're with us. Into our homes and into our sanctuary, and we invite you to join us with the blessing of the candle lights. Gabrielle, would you honor us?
I would be most glad. Always when I light them. See?
Sometimes bringing light into the room is a challenge.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
We continue our service with L'chun Ranina, page 130,
30.
period. 130.
L'chun Ranina l'Adonai
Nariya letzayishenu. L'chun Ranina l'Adonai. Nariya letzayishenu. Nekadma fana betoda bismirot nariya lo. Nekadma fana betoda bismirot nariya lo. L'chun Ranina l'Adonai. Nariya letzayishenu. L'chun Ranina l'Adonai. Nariya letzayishenu. Nekadma fana betoda bismirot nariya lo. נקדמה פניו בתודה, בזמירות נריע לו. We continue with singing a song to God. Are we doing Shir Ladonai? No, we're going straight to Zamru. Zamru Ladonai, also singing praises to God. We do a lot of that on Erev Shabbat. So Zamru Ladonai, page 134.
Zamru l'Adonai bechino.
Zamru Ladonai bechino.
Bechino v'kol zimra. Bechino v'kol zimra. Zamru l'Adonai bechino. L'Adonai bechino. Bechino v'kol zimra. Bechino v'kol zimra. B'chatzrot v'kol shofar. לפני המלך אדוני, עלי, 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 בחצוצרות וכל שופר. הריעו לפני המלך אדוני, ירם הים נהרות ימחה וחב, יחד הרים ירננו. בחצוצרות וכל שופר, הריעו לפני המלך אדוני, עלי, 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 בחצוצרות וכל שופר, הריעו לפני המלך אדוני.
We haven't done that one in a long time.
Yeah.
Nice. We continue by welcoming Shabbat in as if she were a bride. Lecha Dodi, page 138. Ikrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela, shamor v'zachor, b'dibur echad ishmi'anu, el hameyuchad Adonai echad, u'shemo echad l'shem u'tiferet, ולתחילה lecha dodi לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי מקור הברכה מראש מקדם. נסוכה סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה, lecha dodi לקראת קלה, בלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי אורי אורי, שידברי כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה. בני שבת נקבלה.
לא תבושי
ולא תקמי, מה תשתוכחי ומה תמי, בך יחסו עניי עמי ונבנתה. הרבתי לה, לילה דודי, לילה לקראת קלה. B'nei Shabbat nikabela.
We rise and face the entrance to welcome the Sabbath bride.
Boi Shalom, Ateret Bala, Gam Besimcha, Uvetzola, Toch Emune, Am Segula, Boi Chala, Boi Chala, Lecha Dodi, Lecha Berat Kahala. B'nei Shabbat, B'nei Shabbat, B'nei Shabbat nekabela. We take a moment to welcome each other into our midst, wishing each other a Shabbat Shalom. If there's somebody you don't know, feel free to go and greet them. And we're so glad you're here. It's good to see you. We now continue with Mizmor Shir L'Yom.
Mizmor Shir L'Yom HaShabbat, Tov Lehodot L'Adonai, Ulezamer L'Shimcha Elyon, Ulezamer L'Shimcha Elyon, להגיד בבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלילות, עלי הסוף עלי נבל, עלי היגיון בחינות, צדיק כתמר יפרח, כארז בלבנון יזכה, שתולים בבית אדוני, בחצרות אלוהינו יבריחו, עוד ינובון בסבב, דשנים ורעננים יהיו, להגיד כי ישר אדוני, צורי ולא עוולה תבוא. Teach me, O God, a blessing, a prayer on the mystery of a withered leaf, on ripened fruit so fair, on the freedom to hope to despair. Teach my lips a blessing, a hymn of praise, as each morning and night you renew our days. Lest my day be today as the one before, lest routine set my ways. We continue with Chatzi Kaddish, page 144. יתגדל ויתקדש ורבה, בעלמד יברך ירושלים.
בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בגלה בגלה ובזמן קריב אמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם עולם מעמיה יתברך.
יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי תקודשה
בריחו
לעילם.
תשבחתה ונחמתה תמירן בעלמה אמרו Amen. We rise for the Baruch Hu, page 146.
Baruch hu et Adonai, hamevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Vaed. You may be seated. We join together on page 148 with the English. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzevaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim.
Amen.
Once the evening has fallen, we turn our thoughts inward and consider all that surrounds us with love, the universe, nature, our loved ones. And above all, we know that God is there by our side surrounding us. Ahavat Olam, the prayer, the second blessing before the Shema, talks about God's love for his people Israel, his or her people Israel, and how we emanate that and reflect it back into the world. And so I'd like for you to take a moment to close your eyes and think about someone that loves you, and then how you love another person or someone else in your life. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel.
Amen.
We continue with Shema, page 152.
Shema
Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
We continue on page 154.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. Adonai Elohechem Emet. On this Shabbat Zachor, this memorial type of Shabbat before Purim, we think about our history and how we have survived all of these centuries, these generations, despite the brokenness of our world. We read together in the middle of page 157 as we introduce Mi Chamocha, our redemption prayer.
In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love. From bondage in Egypt, we were delivered. At Sinai, we bound ourselves to your way. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea. Michamocha, page 158. Michamocha b'yem Adonai, Mikamocha neheda b'kodesh, Nora tehilot osef eleh, Nora tilot osef eleh, Ailai lai malchutecha, ra'u v'alecha, bokei hayam lifnei Moshe Miriam. Se'eli anu ve'amru, ve'anyanu ve'amru. Lai 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 lai.
Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed b'nei Amar kipad Adonai et Yaakov uge'alo miyad chazak mimenu Baruch ata Adonai Ga'al Yisrael.
We turn to page 160 for the Hashkivenu prayer, our bedtime prayer, asking God to protect us through the night, surrounding us with a canopy of peace that spreads over not just us, but over all Israel and over the world. Hashkivenu, page 160.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu, Hashkivenu leShalom, V'ha'amidenu shomreinu alechayim, Ufros aleinu Sukkot shlomecha. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu, Hashkivenu leShalom. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Baruch atah Adonai, haborei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al kol Yerushalayim. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem.
The people of Israel shall keep Shabbat, observing Shabbat throughout the ages as a covenant for all time. It is a sign for all time between me and the people of Israel. For in 6 days Adonai made heavens and earth, and on the seventh day God ceased from work and was refreshed. Vishamru, page 162. Okay, that's fine. We continue then with the tefillah on page.
We're reading it tonight. Is that disappointing? Should we do a melody? Do you have one in mind? Okay.
Which one were you thinking of?
For Shabbat, we know at least 3 different melodies.
Okay.
Et ha-Shabbat,
לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית העולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת. לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית העולם. כי 6 ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת. לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת. לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
Any other requests may be sent to gnewman@tbtoc.org. And I look forward to reading them. Thank you.
We now continue with the tefillah, page 164. We start with Adonai Sefatai, and then we will continue silently through page 180. Adonai,
Sefatai tiftach,
Sefatai tiftach,
Ufi
agid, Tehilatecha, Adonai, Sefatai tiftach, Ufi agid, Tehilatecha.
We continue on the bottom of page 180. Yihu l'ratzon imrei fi v'hidyon libi lefanecha, Adonai tzuri v'goali. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, Adonai, my rock and my redeemer. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'el kol Yisrael, ve'el kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru, Amen.
We finish our tefillah, our prayers, with the recitation of a get well prayer. Prayer for those in need of healing physically, spiritually, those who are suffering from addictions, those who are in mourning. If there's someone whose name you would like to bring into our midst, I invite you to mention their names as we go around the room. And if there are names on Zoom, please feel free to share those with us too.
Marty Cole, Wendy Phillips, Michael States. Phyllis Berkeley.
Zach Besner, Greg Wakeson.
Got this.
Are there any names on our virtual congregations?
Megan Firestone, Marla Kazin, Mark Silverstein, Marlene Pfaff, Janice Withrow, Christine Race, Gail Rolliter, Christopher Lewis, Louis Gonzalez, Chien Pfaff, and Rob Pfaff.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We also add the names of Alan Boyarsky, Andrea Goldberg, Anita Muchnikoff, Barbara Bevins, Barbara Rothbart, Dale Scully, David Trachtman, Edward Schechter, Elaine Solomon, Evelyn Ma, Florence Nagler, Jerry Feldman, Henry Cohen, Janet Capps, Janet White, Jerry Harmon, Karen Guth, Marilyn Wasdorf, Michael Hennig, Mike Kokos, Mindy Gladstein, Peter Gwasdorf, Rabbi Emmanuel Ben David, Rose Kaufman, Sheldon Weisbuck, Shirley Zeidman, and Francia Yera. For those mentioned and those we hold in our hearts, we sing the words of the Misha Berach, which you can find on page 371.
Misha
Berach Avoteinu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishe Berach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. We wish all of them a refuah shlema, a speedy and complete recovery. Amen.
Amen.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
This Shabbat, as I mentioned a little earlier, is known as Shabbat Zachor, the Sabbath of remembering. Tomorrow morning, we will read and Gabriel will chant in our maftir about the evil Amalek, the perpetual ultimate enemy of the Jews, as he attacked the Israelites from behind, taking advantage of the weak and the young who were the most vulnerable. The connection between Amalek and our Shabbat comes from thinking about Haman as we anticipate the upcoming holiday of Purim, which begins on Monday night. As most of us know, Purim is accompanied by its own set of mitzvot and is known in part as the day when we put on clothing that can transform us into superheroes, villains, princes and princesses, or anything that fulfills our fantasy. Costumes are fun, and we see the usual calm, well-behaved among us step out of character and become unrecognizable on this holiday. Give us a role, and we can usually think of the clothing that is worn. We know that in the athletic world, each sport is represented by a particular uniform, including color and design. I could show you any particular uniform, and I'll bet you could probably tell me the sport that it goes with, and maybe even the team. Baseball season is upon us, and here in Southern California, if I mention red, you know it's the, and if I mention blue, you know it's, and we can almost tell whose favorite team you have. Some jobs require uniforms that allow the worker to perform his or her job with ease. Firefighters, law enforcement, bankers, bakers, and more. They wouldn't think of starting a shift without suiting up. Clothing is a huge industry, and choosing an outfit is probably one of the first decisions we make each day, besides what we will eat for breakfast. In this week's parsha, called Tetzaveh, we read, "You shall make holy garments for your brother Aaron, for honor and glory, and you shall speak to all the wise-hearted whom I have filled with the spirit of wisdom, and they shall make Aaron's garments to sanctify him, so that he may serve me." The text then goes into great detail about how to create the garments, from color to material to adornments that will be a constant reminder to Aaron of his position among the people. Aaron is commanded to wear 2 jewel-encrusted bands on his shoulders, engraved with the names of the 12 tribes of Israel. Careful attention is paid to their purpose. They are to be worn as stones for remembrance of the Israelite people, whose names Aaron shall carry, for remembrance before God. Aaron carries the weight of leadership on his shoulders, symbolically and physically, as he puts on his uniform each day and goes to work. As modern Jews, we have the opportunity to put on a uniform each day as we prepare to live our Torah. I know that through my own evolution and growth as a more observant Jew, I have taken on more aspects of our Jewish uniform. The first part of the uniform I ever wore was a necklace with a Magen David, a Star of David. Wearing one of the symbols of our faith filled me with pride, even when it was not popular to be a Jew. We know that in history, wearing an identification as a Jew also led us to the gas chambers. I had other necklaces that I wore with other Jewish symbols, but none compared to my Jewish star, and I remembered what my parents had worn during the Shoah. The second part of my Jewish uniform came in my college days when I decided that I wanted to wear a talit. Purchasing my first talit, or talis, was for me like purchasing a wedding gown. It had to be just right, with colors and designs finding their place in my soul. It was purchased with my dad at my side. visiting a Jewish gift shop in this area. That first talit will always have a special place in my heart as a memory of his gift to me. And since that time, I have purchased other talitot, adding to my collection. My Miriam talit was given to me as a gift by our beloved Lila when we were in Israel together. I made a photo talit with squares of fabric photos of grandparents, aunts and uncles, parents and children, which I wear on special holidays. I created a talit for my ordination 3 years ago, designing the atara, the strip at the top, with one of my favorite quotes, which is Magadlu ma'asecha Adonai, how great are your works, Adonai. That one, in deep purple, is a canopy which I have used as a chuppah in performing marriages, and under which I hope to serve our people for the rest of my life. And those of you who were here last Shabbat morning helped me to celebrate the first time I wore this talit in honor of my milestone birthday, having another of my favorite Jewish sayings that's also on my email signature: the day on which you were born was the day God decided that the world could not exist without you. I've had the experience of putting on tefillin, the boxes with the leather straps, and when wearing them, my prayers feel elevated. And lastly, I have adopted the practice of wearing a kippah when engaged in Jewish activities other than mahjong. When we wear our Jewish uniforms, we have the possibility of feeling an extra layer of spirituality. Like Aaron, when I am in uniform, wearing the garb of my ancestors, I feel them surrounding me, while at the same time wearing the responsibility for those whom I serve. There is an awareness that rises within me that reminds me that I represent all of Judaism when I wear our national clothing. My kippah is my royal crown, reminding me of our Purim heroine Esther, who stood up to the regime and challenged the status quo. My talit is the cloak of Mordechai, who sat at the city gates to hear the news about Haman's plot and used his skills to inform Esther. And when I wear a Jewish-themed necklace, I can't help but think about the Jews of Shushan and so many others throughout history whose identity could not openly be worn proudly. How truly we are blessed to be able to surround ourselves from head to toe in our uniform, our costume, our holy garments, which, like Aaron, elevate our status to one of holiness and partnership with God. As we ready ourselves for Purim in the week ahead, may we find clothing that will transform us into beings ready to take on a broken world, enabling us to celebrate the freedom to express our Judaism in public, as a community, and as a world in which those who seek to destroy us find it in their hearts and souls to celebrate our diversity with acceptance and love. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may it be God's will. We continue with the Aleinu on page 586. I invite you to rise as the ark is opened.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגור עלינו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך
You may be seated. We now take a moment to think of our loved ones whose life on earth has ended, those in recent times as well as those in more distant. If you are in the Shiva period, the first 7 days of mourning, I invite you to rise and share your loved one's name with us. If you are in the first 30 days of mourning, I invite you to share your loved one's names with us. If you're in the first year of mourning, I invite you to rise and share your loved one's names with us.
Jonathan Kaysen.
If you're observing a Yortzeit this week, I invite you to rise and share your loved one's names with us.
Vera Mendelson, Stan's grandmother, and Arlene Defray, my good friend.
Are there those on Zoom or our other virtual congregations whose names should be mentioned?
First year of mourning, Joan Friedman and Jonathan Kaysen.
Thank you. In addition to those listed, we also remember, trying to think, is Leo Filowitz this week? That was last week. Okay, thank you. We remember Mort Wedner, Belina Asa, Ann Armento, Benjamin Emmer, Brianna Schafran, Melvin Kaysen, Helen Hart, Charlotte Moore, Sarah Hirsch, Theda Levine, Sam Carl, Gary Fish, Robert Schmeidler, Sidney Lawrence Palmer, and Robert Ribicoff. We also remember Jack Rose. Paul Jordan, David Schafran, Gerald Gorman, David Schwartz, Benjamin Gelfer, Marie Van Ralt, Jean Renee Brown, Leah Hill. For those whose names are mentioned and those we consider in our hearts, I invite those of you whose tradition it is to rise for the Kaddish to do so and join our mourners on page 598. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uvyomechon, uvchaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mivorach le'olam u'almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal shemei dekudesha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlomo Rabbah min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who sends peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved among us. We say amen. You may be seated. Before we do Kiddush, a couple of announcements coming from our upcoming calendar. It's here somewhere. If not, I think I know what's going on. Big thing. There it is. The biggest thing in the world. First of all, our mitzvah mavens are getting together on March 5th, which is coming up on Sunday, and they're going to be engaging in spring cleaning, a spring cleaning project. They have a goal of making 72 items that will include dishcloths, pot holders, and coasters to help with those in need. And so if you are a knitter or a crocheter, Mitch and Sanford, that's especially you. Yeah. We invite you to join them here. No sign up is needed, just show up. Thank you. And please join us. This coming Wednesday, we will be celebrating Purim with our Megillah of Oz Purim Spiel. There will be a light dinner served and the Megillah reading and the Purim Spiel.
Dinner is served at 5:30, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Dinner is
a
served
light-
at 5:30,
5:30.
and then everything else happens after that.
Correctamente. And come in costume. Mitch, you can come as Miriam and I'll come as you.
Ah!
Okay, how's that? Let it be written and sealed. The book of life. Oh, that's a different holiday. So,
And be prepared for all of the munchkins and flying monkeys. There will be many.
et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. While I'm holding this little cup of wine, it reminds me that I was at Ralph's, not to put one grocery store in front of another, but I was at Ralph's yesterday, and Passover is around the corner. Yes, and their wine is on sale, kosher for Pesach wine. So it is never too early to start shopping for Pesach.
My mom already asked me what I wanted from the Florida grocery stores because they have a wider selection.
So does the valley up north. So anyway, lots of great things happening. We have our T-Teens in Torah that will be meeting on Wednesday as well. We have our Temple Seder coming up in just a few weeks. It's actually 4 weeks away, 4 weeks from last night. So make your reservations as soon as the opportunity approaches. It's in the tidbits already. And our next issue of the scroll is due to be mailed home to our families the last week in March. So that should be exciting too. And we will be wishing Mark and Joan and Mitch a Nesia Tova, a good travel, but we'll do that tomorrow morning. We're not going to do that tonight. But it's going to be fun. We'll miss you. And now we continue with our Kiddush on page 122, and I invite you to join us.
ויהי ויבוקר יום השישי, ויחולו השמיים והארץ וכל צבאם, ויחל אלוהים ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה, וישבת ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה, ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי, ויקדש אותו, כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו, אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות.
ברוך אתה אדוני, אלוהינו מלך העולם, בורא פרי הגפן. ברוך אתה אדוני, אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר קידשנו במצוותיו ורצה בנו. בשבת קודשו, באהבה וברצון הנחילנו, זיכרון למעשה בראשית, כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת, ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, בשבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת לחיים. It's good. Yummies. And as we close our service tonight, we share the words of the priestly benediction. the Birkat Kohanim. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May Lord, may God bless us and keep us. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichuneka. May the face of God shine upon us and be gracious unto us. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lachem shalom. May God's face shine upon us and grant us the greatest of all gifts, the gift of peace. Home run it is. And our closing song will be Shalom Rav. If you need the words, they are on page 178. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov beinecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael. Bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shabbat Shalom. Please join us for our oneg in the social hall.
Shalom, friends on Zoom.
We can't see you, but we wish you a Shabbat Shalom.
We'll see you hopefully tomorrow, if not next Shabbat, I promise.